High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And we are live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and maybe Instagram, although I just got a notice from StreamYard that Instagram's having issues. It's currently experiencing a platform-wide RTMP streaming issue affecting third-party streaming services. Well, if you're on Instagram, you better hop on over to LinkedIn. And if you're on LinkedIn, you may have to click refresh a few times, but I digress because we have a great episode. And I will just mention, of course, YouTube is always very reliable, and we are live there as well. So find your link and get comfortable because we have a really great episode. Of course, I'm not in my regular studio. I'm in a hotel room. It's all for good stuff. We've got new business and I'm traveling, so I'm happy to be here. And we have two great guests, so I'm going to get right into it. But before I do, I always have to tell you about Cherry Assistant. And this episode definitely would not have been possible without Cherry Assistant because I'm out here running around doing all these things. And Layla is the one emailing the guests, making sure they're coming. They have all their materials, creating all the images and the graphics for the show. And on top of that, she helps not only with my social media, but with our clients' social media. And then we work with another Cherry Assistant VA who does other things. And then there's video editing. So like Cherry Assistant is a VA placement company, and they will basically work with you to figure out what it is that you need help delegating. And then they go out into the world and find the exact right person with the skills that you need. So definitely delegate because that's how you're going to grow. Don't stay stuck being a solopreneur. It's okay to be a solopreneur, but it's also okay to be a solopreneur with help. So scan that QR code if you're watching on video. Otherwise, just go to cherryassistant.com. Tell them that you heard about them through Wednesday. And, we'd love to help you get set up with a VA. And on top of that, I want to tell you about High Level. So if you've heard of High Level in the comments, can you please give me a hello? Which, by the way, if you're here in the comments, where are you tuning in from? I want to know, we're trying to make this show for you. So the more you engage and you talk to us, the more we can keep this relevant for you who's here watching live. So yeah, use the comments, let us know. But I want to tell you about High Level because High Level is something I use for my own company. It's my everything tool. When I first started Reviting, I was on HubSpot. And if I would have upgraded to get the dedicated IP that I needed, I probably would have gone out of business before now. But I found another CRM that was only $97 a month. And not only could I have a CRM and a marketing automation platform, but two of my clients could too for only $97. So I'm a marketing affiliate for High Level right now, and I want to help you sign up for your own High Level account where you can white label it and sign people up. But if that's not your cup of tea and you don't want to sign up for a High Level, then come join our coaching program and just get a sub account when you join. And then our team will help you with all of the stuff that you're working on. So I digress. High Level is the CRM of the future. So if you haven't heard of it, check it out. Scan this QR code if you're watching on video or if you're on podcast. Just go to reviting.com/high level for a 30-day free trial link. And if you use that free trial link, reach out to me, let me know, because I want to make sure that you succeed, because I'll get a 40% cut every time you renew. So it's in my favor to make sure that you're good to go. But other than that, we've got Cherry Assistant, High Level, big shout outs to them. But I want to tell you about our hot guests for today. So let's go ahead and bring them in. Welcome to the show, Michael, and we've got Amber here. Thank you so much for being here. And so Michael Roth, we connected through the SAS Yacht Club, which is one of my favorite places on earth, even though it's kind of out of this world because it's a digital little community of cold emailers. And that's really like all I know about, I know obviously I can go on your LinkedIn and I can study your LinkedIn. I can go on your website and I can study your website. And of course we did that thoroughly to plan for the episode, but we want to know the in-between. Who really is Michael and who really is Amber? Like, as a human, we want to connect with you and know more than just your sales and marketing skills. So Michael, could you tell us your full life story from birth to what brought you to now?
Yeah, I'll give you the quick 2-minute overview. But yeah, I'm originally from Sacramento, California, moved down to San Diego to go to college there. And then like most, you don't leave when you come to San Diego. So still here, kind of, through life, big sports guy, love golf now. In terms of like the business side of things, I was your traditional sales guy kind of my whole life. And then about 5 years ago is when I decided to kind of go off on my own and start some new endeavors. And so, now more than any time's like the time to be an entrepreneur, just because coding and everything's so easy. And so, I've been able to start three companies now, kind of all in the sales space, LinkedIn automation tools, email validation tools, and now kind of a email analytics for like mailbox health and things of that nature. So, that's the quick spiel on me.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And Amber, is it Gaige? Is that how I say your last name?
It is. It sounds like something that belongs on your dashboard, doesn't it?
Yeah, Amber Gaige, because there's an I in there, so it threw me off a little bit. Michael Roth is so easy, and so the Amber Gaige made me think twice. But yeah. Amber, we want to hear from you too. Like, what is your full life story? I know you're in Dallas, but where were you born, and what brought you to now in 2 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a South Louisiana girl born in Lafayette. So I'm spicy and Cajun and all those things. So grew up in family business, relocated to Dallas when I was a young child, and am a third generation entrepreneur. So I learned how to run a business by the School of Hard Knocks and started my first marketing agency in 2013, sold it to private equity in 2018. Prior to that, had a stint of singing classical music in Europe for a while, had a good time singing opera and traveling the world. So that gave me a really cool perspective of worldview before coming back and settling down into entrepreneurship. After selling my company to private equity, I got to stay in private equity and grow other national brands, which was a ton of fun. And then decided that my heart was for really other fellow entrepreneurs who wanted to grow and scale and achieve their dreams. Being a plumber's daughter and coming from very humble beginnings, I knew the challenges of growing a business and how often people felt overwhelmed by marketing. So I wrote an international best-selling book, which is a back pocket marketing guidebook to help entrepreneurs be more mindful of their marketing, feel empowered, and stop wasting money on marketing that doesn't work. So my team and I, there are 18 of us. We're in North Dallas, and that's what we do. We passionately serve fellow entrepreneurs by putting together customized marketing plans so that we can help entrepreneurs grow their dreams, succeed, and build the life that they want. Because I believe it's absolutely possible, regardless of where you start. As a solopreneur, a family business, third gen, whatever it is, you have a unique voice and a unique passion, and you should have a marketing plan that works for you while you sleep. So that's what me and my team do at Far Beyond Marketing.
Oh, I love that so much. And I can't believe you did opera and you like traveled Europe. I mean, how cool is that?
It was fun. I loved it. Yeah. But, it doesn't pay the bills. So, you got to work for a living. So I came back and started a marketing company.
I have a similar story because I was in theater and that doesn't pay the bills either. So
No.
Yeah, here we are doing marketing on LinkedIn. But
That's
anyway,
right.
let's get into the first topic. We've got digital marketing for lead gen, turning clicks into clients. Amber, can you tell us how we can do that?
Yes, absolutely. So many people invest in pay-per-click and they do it thinking that it's going to change their business and then it's going to grow exponentially. But the bottom line is that until you have certain things in place, you're not going to guarantee a conversion. We have known that most people bounce off a website in 4 seconds or less. Most people bounce off a hero image in 2 seconds or less. So my tip of the day is to make sure before you invest in pay-per-click marketing or Google local searches, that you do a hard investigation as to your homepage and that you make sure that your message is clear, that your call to action is strong, and that your homepage, landing page, whatever page you're using as a sales funnel is absolutely optimized for conversion. Otherwise, you're going to be putting money at the top of the funnel and it's going to be running out of the bottom of the funnel like a sieve. And we don't want that. So consistency in messaging, consistency in branding, and making sure that homepage is leveraged for conversion, all things that should be done before you invest a dime in pay-per-click.
Yes, totally. I mean, how much money have marketers lost in 2025 for pay-per-click? I mean, I'm an organic marketer, so you know my side. I help companies create organic content that brings in revenue. So it's really hard for me when I hear stories of people spending all this money on pay-per-click, because I was also that CMO. I did this at 2 companies. I go in and I just turn off the Google ads. Like,
Yeah.
you're spending $9,000 a month on Google ads? Like, excuse me? Like,
Yes.
let's shut that shit off
Yeah.
and then see what happens. And nothing happened. Literally, not both times. Nothing happened. Like, given 6 months, nothing still happened. Yeah, but now that we have organic content and we're building relationships with people, we're getting a lot more direct traffic because they hear about us on LinkedIn or podcast or wherever in dark social and then search it and find their website. But
Yeah, last click is a thing of the past. It is all about the frequency over reach. It is all about the organic content. It's about the being able to be present where people can find you and putting applicable in front of them at the right time so that when they're ready to make a buying decision, which literally takes at least 11 interactions with your brand before they're ready to make a buying decision anyway, that they can find you and fall in love with you and know clearly what to do and how to do business with you. I'm a story brand guide. I'm a huge proponent of Donald Miller and story branding your marketing. So you got to make sure that your messaging is clear and that is conveyed onto the homepage or landing page where you're trying to drive traffic.
yeah, I keep hearing about that book. I'm going to have to go find that book and read it.
Yeah.
But Michael, I want to hear your take on all this. And first of all, I'm kind of curious, like, if you weren't doing email, was there something like opera or theater that you were doing before?
No, I'm not that artsy and creative, I guess. So no, I was never doing that. I just was a sports guy growing up, and
Fair
and
enough.
yeah, I was basically just a little sales guy, a little athlete. That's kind of what I've been my whole life. But yeah, I mean, kind of relating to like the paid ads and all that. I haven't really dove into that space too much. I've always been the cold email guy kind of my whole life, over 10 years in the space. And I've always been interested in the kind of like paid ad space, but from kind of what I've read up on it and comparing it to, all the analytics, I have internally in terms of conversions and, cost to acquisition, a customer and all that good stuff. Cold email is really a good way to go about it, or at least it's a nice complementary service to have. And it drives a ton of traffic, obviously, as well. So that's kind of the way I look at things. And I think there is a good place for paid ads. But as you guys are mentioning, it takes some skill and has someone that knows what they're doing to not be just blowing all your marketing dollars. So
100%. Yeah, it's really important. And I love that you have just done cold email for 10 years. So on that note, let's move into email strategy, analytics, deliverability, and insights. And as a marketer, I used to be that girl who was like, cold email is dead. Like you have to get them to opt in and you have to like warm up the lead. And then I learned, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, the power of cold email. And when you have a really savvy salesperson who's really good at getting the message super concise, you know what I'm talking about. So kick us off here, Michael.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the email space has changed so much with the players like Smartlead, Instantly, and those guys. Because before, when I was doing cold emailing, when I was just a normal salesperson, it was like just doing these basic mail merges and stuff like that, which no longer works, unfortunately. So luckily, these guys like Smartlead have developed kind of the email infrastructure that you need to actually keep delivering, since Google, Microsoft, all those guys are doing everything they can to keep you out of the inbox. But luckily, we have the guys like Smartlead that are always trying to stay ahead of that curve, I guess. So yeah, I mean, you hear a lot. People are looking at like opens and clicks and things of that nature, which is good more for kind of maybe more newsletters or existing audience, things of that nature. Not so great when it comes to kind of like your cold email for new potential clients, just because it hurts deliverability and all that good stuff, which I think most people know at this point. But what kind of got me into it is pretty much all three of the companies I started were all based around like needs I had as a salesperson. And then obviously I felt other people probably had those kind of same needs. And so they all were built more out of necessity of things that I was already doing as a salesperson, because I was the typical lazy sales guy where I just wanted to automate everything, work as little as I could and get paid. And so that translated well now to kind of running these businesses. But kind of the newest venture that I got into specifically around email marketing, really more is on the deliverability side. There's a bunch of lead generation agencies out there that this is all they, live, breathe, and sleep. I was not that guy, and I just run a couple SaaS businesses, and so we were always running into issues where I didn't realize like when campaigns stop performing. Like there's so many variations of like what that could be from. It could be your messaging, it could be who you're targeting, could be your email infrastructure, could be all these different things. And so it's been somewhat of a black box just because it is pretty complex. And so what I kind of aimed to do recently was really dive in to start getting more analytics in terms of why things stop performing. And so what I ended up doing with my new venture, Uplifty, it currently integrates with the tool Smartlead. And so what I'm doing there is essentially being able to process all of my bounced emails that I'm getting. Because what I ended up finding is that not all bounced emails are created equal. There's hundreds of different reasons your emails might bounce, and there's kind of a core category of ones that actually matter. Kind of the two main ones that you're going to see is like an invalid mailbox, and that's just obviously you emailed an email that doesn't exist, and that's probably to the fault of your email validation provider. The other big one is being spam blocked, and so these are when your leads are actually bouncing your email before it can land in the inbox or spam folder. And so I've been able to figure out when my campaigns stop performing, there's a direct correlation to getting these spam block bounces. And essentially, it's these email service providers like Google and Microsoft. They're seeing that your reputation on your email account isn't normal. And so they're just going to bounce your email, like even if it's a valid email address, before it even has a chance of landing. And so that's kind of what I aim to introduce with Uplifty is kind of eliminate that black box. And the analytics that I'm seeing there is just, it's pretty amazing to see, because you can kind of eliminate a lot of the guessing in terms of why your campaigns aren't performing. Because now I can just know right away it's my mailbox reputation is burned based off these analytics. And then it just becomes a copy issue. And so it really eliminates a lot of those different things that it could be, and allows you to then focus on, okay, now it's a copy issue because all my email infrastructure is good. So that's kind of like the high level of what I did with this latest venture with kind of the deliverability insights. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that, but.
Sorry, I think my internet cut out there for a quick second. But no, I loved that. And tell me more about Uplifty. Is this a new tool?
Yeah, it's a new tool. Right now, it just integrates with Smart Lead, but I'm going to be adding Instantly and some of the other guys as well. And I'm not sure, kind of with the audience. Everyone kind of has different tools that they might be using. These specific ones were innovative in the space because they allowed you to have like thousands of mailboxes that just kind of rotate within a campaign versus the traditional approach that you have your main domain you're sending from and you're just blasting away. And those days are kind of over. And so, Smart Lead instantly built kind of an innovative platform to do so. So we use Smart Lead internally. So I built the integration with that. It was originally just for us to use internally because I was sick of having this black box of figuring out when things went wrong and how to mitigate that. So yeah, now with Smart Lead, I don't really have that issue, but it's basically tracking all your deliverability insights. It handles at the mailbox level and the domain level to know when they actually are burned. And when I say burned, it just means your reputation's poor, which is going to be a direct reason for why your campaign stopped performing as well. So we have a lot of different automations I built into that as well, but it was the most technical product, I think, of the three that I had built, just because these analytic tools, when you're dealing with like tens of millions of emails, becomes pretty intense. But it's really cool to actually see the data now.
Yeah, totally. So Amber, I'm just curious of your take on cold email and everything we're talking about with deliverability.
Yeah, I'm totally in line with what's being said because I believe that cold email is not dead. For a while, I thought that it was. Like you, I was like, why are we wasting time on cold email? But I was wrong. I think cold email is huge in terms of keeping a brand in mind for a consumer, whether it's B2B or B2C. Cold email is a way of maintaining connection and brand visibility in a way that is just impossible through other marketing ventures. For that record, I would say that direct mail is not dead either. It's actually making a comeback in print and in media. And so if you're not touching your most valuable marketing asset, which is your email list, once a week, I think you're missing the boat. We tell all of our clients, cold email is a stand in the gap, important piece in any marketing strategy. So totally agree.
Yeah. And Amber, are you intertwining like these same approaches with like direct mail? Are you hitting kind of the same people that you're hitting with email and just kind of like a multi-touch kind of campaign, if you will, across the different channels? Is that how you're kind of using it, or?
Absolutely. So we are a AI and data science based agency. And so we utilize real-time learning pixels on the back of our website so that when an ideal client that matches the client's demographic comes to the website, we are actually deploying an email, a cold email, within 5 minutes of coming to the site and saying, thanks so much. We noticed that you didn't take an action. How can we be of service to you? And then within 48 hours, sending them a piece of direct mail too, to follow up. So I'm a huge fan of frequency over reach and making sure that you've got the cold email with something tangible in your hand, plus then taking the information that you've obtained through the pixel and targeting them online through some display ads. I think the more touches, the better. Studies are showing more and more it takes 11 interactions with a single brand before someone takes action. So if we can capture them and stay attentive, people are not brand loyal as they used to be. They want it now. So TOMA, top of mind awareness, is where you win or die.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, you got two marketers here sold on cold email. So I think, things are changing because like 3, 4, 5 years ago, marketers were hating on cold email.
Yeah.
Like all over LinkedIn, you would, and I was guilty of it myself. All over LinkedIn, you would see all the posts of like, why are these salespeople cold emailing me? My email inbox is so full, which of course Google and Outlook responded and made it really hard for all the cold emailers out there like yourself, Michael. But yeah, it's really important. And I really encourage people to make sure that they're looking at cold email. But before we transition, Michael, is there anything else on email strategy, analytics, deliverability, and insights you'd share before we move on?
Yeah. And I think everyone's starting to get on, obviously everyone's probably heard of clay.com by now, but I mean, I was one of their first, like, I think 40 customers. And so I'm a huge proponent of them, not just for the email side, but they can help kind of run your operations. But I think now more than ever, since there are so many kind of cold emailers in the space, you really see the ones that know what they're doing, kind of standing levels above everyone else. And that's always been the problem with cold email is people's inboxes are flooded all day long. And so now it really becomes a lot more important to have some kind of creativity and some type of relevance in your emails. And that's using different signals you might have, where, people might be searching for things on Reddit or LinkedIn posts or whatever. So having a very diversified kind of like data strategy is really important to actually be targeting the right people. And then now it's so much easier to craft like relevant messages just because tools like Clay make that easy, where you can scrape their website and do all these other things to really have hyper personalized messaging. So that's a main thing, because with all the analytics now, it becomes a little bit easier to see why your campaigns aren't performing. So then it just becomes kind of a copy issue as well as who you're targeting. So to me, those are kind of like the two most important things in cold email, is really figuring out who your ideal customer is, where do they live, what are good signals for you to know that they would be a higher likelihood to kind of use your service. And that's where more, I think, of the creativity comes in versus a lot of people just do the spray and pray approach, which works in volume. But I think to get more out of your email list and to have a more efficient and cost-effective strategy, you have to kind of take a few steps back and really kind of start from the beginning of the journey all the way through. And so that's been kind of what I've been taking away, being in the space for so long, obviously.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I mean, I think about email when I first started my career, and like, I think it was even before the Can Spam Act came out. So like, thinking of spray and pray, like back in the day, things were so different. But yeah, you really do have to be targeted now. And I love what you said about helping you figure out your ICP. I mean, if you don't have product market fit, cold email is a really great way to get information fast, because when you land in someone's email box cold, they're going to let you know what they think.
Exactly.
That's what I've learned is like the cold email campaigns that didn't succeed, you still learn a ton from them because you're like, oh, well, that offer's crap. We got all this feedback on it, or whatever it is. So I'm a proponent of cold email. But with that, I am going to take us into our intermission, and we'll be right back after this quick message.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now he has a $50K per month business, fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM on Go High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
If you're listening to this on podcast, we're showing on the screen a menu of services, including lead generation, CRM management, prospecting assistance, data entry and customer support, project management assistance, and so much more that you can find over at Cherry Assistant. So just go to cherryassistant.com, fill out their form, let them know that you heard about them through the Wednesday show, and maybe you'll find a VA that's going to actually help you scale your business and delegate so that you can focus on the things that are most important to you. And real quick, I want to just give another quick mention of High Level. So I always like to ask the guests, have you guys ever heard of High Level or used High Level?
We are a high level agency and never going back. Absolutely. Yep.
Ask you why?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
Yay, we missed you.
We're back.
Yeah. We just feel like the ability to efficiently serve the number of clients that we serve, because we're a full service agency, is unparalleled on High Level. The ability for us to be able to track email, social, SEO, build a landing page, deploy text messaging campaigns, organize our funnels, and track how we are doing and producing an actual return on investment for our small business owners is incredibly crucial. I have a team of 18 people and we are serving clients every single day. If we don't have transparency with our clients in terms of our results and the ability to have one centralized platform that allows us to see everything comprehensively and transparently share that with our clients, then we're doing them a disservice. So Go High Level empowers our agency to do that and more. So Go High Level fam for life. Just saying.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I feel the same way too. Like never changing. Like this is my tool. This is a marketing agency tool. But anyway, I digress. Michael, as a salesperson, I'm curious, like, what do you hear about High Level?
Yeah, no, and I've heard nothing but great things about them. It's definitely, I think, purpose built for more marketing type agencies. And so unfortunately I haven't been in that realm where I had the need for it, but it seems like an absolute no brainer if that's kind of your space. I've had to just rely on the traditional, HubSpots of the world for a lot of our kind of CRM data, but yeah, I mean, it makes it super easy, I think, in that particular CRM to build out a lot of automations that aren't as easy to build out in these other CRMs natively. So wish I had the purpose to use it, but I've only heard great things. So
yeah, awesome. Well, we just brought on some commission sellers here at Reviting, and so I got to learn a little bit about the salesperson perspective using High Level. And one of the things I've heard that they like a lot is the thread, the ability to have a conversation with someone and see all of the different channels, like, and have that in like a timeline. So like, oh, this message on Instagram, then this email, then this phone call, and then this LinkedIn DM. So you see like everything in one conversation thread, which is really unique. But then on the same side, I want to be like, it's not all, like, there is like one thing that they haven't liked is the fact that you get one domain set up with each account. So like all the emails are going to come from that one domain. And so I didn't know that at first. I had to like hit my head, and learn once we brought like salespeople on. I'm like, oh, sorry. But yeah, so it's interesting, but yeah, High Level, there's so much you can do and there's so many tools that you can integrate to make it work for you. I definitely suggest going to reviting.com/high level, try out a 30-day trial and let us know what you think. But until then, I'm excited to talk about direct mail marketing because I just saw my friend yesterday and she sells to people about ages 60 and above. And she's been doing the social media thing. She was in my coaching program, and finally we just had some real talk. Like, look at who you're targeting. They're not on social media. Like, we need to get the print media going. Like, maybe we call the newspaper and get a little ad. Like, let's think like it's 1970 for a second. But direct mail is like really climbing in interest right now. I mean, people love receiving things in the mail. And we're not doing this here at Reviting, direct mail yet. And I'm always curious to hear from agencies who are, Amber. So could you talk to us a little bit about this? And are you seeing it as dead or evolving?
It is having a comeback. There is a resurgence when it comes to direct mail for sure. It's interesting because you're exactly right. The older demographic still reads their mail, still opens their mail, and still wants the tactile offers that come in the mail, right? They're going to clip the coupon from the newspaper. They're going to take it from their mailbox. That is absolutely the truth, and it will continue to be the truth. But what we're finding is that the younger demographic is now seeing direct mail as a commodity. This demographic grew up with email and text, and so the fact that they are now seeing direct mail hit their inboxes with their names on it, they're thinking it's super cool and super posh, and they're like, "Hey, look at this. This is a special treat for me." And so we are seeing a resurgence in that way. Direct mail has the struggle that you don't get the same frequency that you would like to be able to get, that you can digital ads. But I think when you pair direct mail with other campaigns, you do see a lift. So direct mail is not dead. Direct mail also in terms of like a guidebook or piggyback mail is also a very affordable way for brands to get their messages in hands of select homeowners. So yeah, I'm a fan, and we definitely have seen success and a resurgence of direct mail over the last 24 months.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. What about you, Mike? Are you hearing stuff about direct mail?
Yeah, so I was actually going to ask. So I had done this back in my sales day, and I had built kind of automations for the direct mail piece, which was really good because we had some pretty high ticket kind of offers. And so I was kind of curious because I forget what tool I'd used at the time, but there's ways to kind of automate the personalized direct mail. I'm curious, Amber, are you doing that at all? Where you can put their company logos, their names, and it's like fully automated to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Okay.
definitely some great softwares to help you do that for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't incorporated in a long time just because I'm all about the cold email space, but I do know it performs well just because I had done it when like I said, the kind of total customer value made sense to incorporate different channels. So
Yeah, totally. I mean, so this LinkedIn user here says, and by the way, it shows up on the screen as LinkedIn user because there's a privacy setting. So if you go to your LinkedIn settings, you have to give third-party apps access to your LinkedIn data. Otherwise, that's why we're seeing you as LinkedIn user. And this person says, direct mail is my fastest growing channel for spend. Greater than 11% of my recipients convert to clients. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd be curious to know the demographic if they're targeting and the kind of campaigns they're running.
Yeah. So if you're here still listening, LinkedIn user, like, let us know. We want to hear more about that particular campaign. What particular campaigns have you seen that work well with direct mail, Amber?
We have worked really well with like brokerage, financial brokerage. They have a high success rate. In terms of the married mail, such as a piggyback postcard or sticky note on top of a map. Home services are still seeing a good capitalization on direct mail. Restaurants still do great too when it comes to direct mail. So it's all about the targeting. It's all about matching that ideal customer with the offer. When it comes to direct mail, you still have to be incredibly strategic to make sure that you're not just doing a spray effect, right? You do have the technology now to be incredibly strategic and targeted for direct mail. We know more about direct mail than we ever have, thanks to technology and data science. So you can choose a subset upon a subset to mail to. You're going to pay a little bit more in postage, and you're going to definitely narrow that target audience. But if you have the brand awareness to sustain that target audience, then you can afford to go niche on your direct mail.
Yeah, because the price really adds up fast with direct mail because you've got the print itself you got to pay for. And, typically a really nice envelope to fit it all in with like everything printed on it. And then you have postage on top of that.
Yep.
So like, it's not like, PPC where it's, cost per click or whatever. It can really add up. I used to work on political campaigns, so we would do a lot of direct mail.
Yeah.
And is what we would save the budget for at the end of the race was to direct all the undecided voters. And yeah, it's a big, heavy lift, but I digress. Here we go. He said, I thought that was the LinkedIn user responding to the question, but it looks like he said Stack is trimming down to core 2 to 3 platforms for most sellers or CRM data warehouse. Okay. So yeah, we didn't get the answer, but LinkedIn user, let us know what that campaign is with the 11% of your recipients converting to clients, because that would be really interesting. And we'll wait for that comment. But in the meantime, is there anything either of you all would like to add before we move on to the next topic?
Well, I would ask Amber, just because, like I said, with cold email, it's really important to really focus on your ICP and start really making sure you're reaching out to relevant people. I know you mentioned like data science and things like that, but what kind of strategies are you guys using for the direct mail side, since you have to be even more targeted to make the ROI make sense on those types of campaigns?
Yeah, I would just say that it really does come down to that strategic plan to make sure that your tactics with the operational goals of the company that you're serving. So that blend of tactics is what wins. So we know that a throw it up against the wall strategy is not going to fix it when it comes to marketing. And yet so many of our clients have been convinced that if they just turn on paid ads or they just do a direct mail campaign, that they're going to get results. And sadly, it's just not true. It's a frequency play. It's a numbers game. And so you have to know that ICP. You have to know the psychographics and demographic of that ICP. And you've got to make sure that your marketing strategy is well thought out and well executed so that you have the frequency to sustain the campaign in such a way that you're giving it a chance to work. So I would just say, look, marketing, there is no silver bullet. It's going to be a series of testing. And as long as you've got a system in place like Go High Level that is going to allow you to track the results and make sure that your tactics are working in collaboration, then you're setting yourself up for a higher chance for success.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Everyone listening, think about it. Maybe it's time for you to go do a direct mail campaign. And there's also like gifting ideas. That's also another direct mail. Like there's the Sendosos of the world out there. You can just like go find a gift and send it to people. But I digress. We're going to get into our next topic of email verification. Oh my gosh. Email verification, catch-alls, and clean lists. Well, on that topic, clean lists, I mean, I could talk about clean lists all day because whether you're doing direct mail, cold email, whatever, you have to have clean data. Like there's so much fraudulent data out there. It's absolutely ridiculous. One of my clients, my former employer, BDEX, I'm a co-host on their show. So everyone knows that I'm associated with BDEX still. But, they help marketing agencies clean up their data before they go do these huge like TV ad campaigns. And they will save a ton of money just by cleaning out the bots, the click farms, the fraudulent data that's in there. And I mean, this is data that they get from all types of credible providers out there. And we get it and we can still clean it up and find the fraudulent data in it. And so it's extremely important to have clean lists. But that's my big point on this topic. But that's not what this is about. This is about email verification. So let's start there, Mike. Could you just start off very high level for anyone listening who might not know what we're talking about when we say email verification?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Jesse, you and I we're definitely more in the weeds on it, just being in the SYC where we have all these cold emailers, and that's a really big deal in that space. But I understand generally speaking that not everyone has kind of the cold email expertise. They're not doing these really big bulk email campaigns, but it matters both whether you're sending smaller amounts or larger amounts. But essentially, what it is like when you're getting whatever platform you're getting your data from, you're going to get all these email addresses, and of all these email addresses, depending on your data source, a lot of them are not going to be valid email addresses. And those can be for various reasons, like the person left the company recently, could be, I'll get into it here, but it could be a catch-all email, which I'll kind of explain what that is. But the real purpose of verifying your emails through a third-party tool, which is kind of what Enrichley does, is that you want to make sure that you're only sending to the valid emails for a couple reasons. And, one is it protects your mailbox health. So when you're sending emails and they keep bouncing because they're invalid, then the Googles and Microsofts of the world are going to start blocking your emails, which is just going to kind of tank all of your campaigns. So that's kind of like the big reason. The other is that you're going to get a lot more ROI on your existing campaigns when you're actually sending to real emails. Because if you're wasting half your sends on invalids, and you could have cleaned those out, you would have had 50% more emails sent to real email addresses, which is only going to increase kind of your ROI. So those are like the two kind of main reasons of why it's important. So it gets a little bit more technical, so I'll try to keep it pretty high level. But when you use a third party kind of email verification tool, what they're essentially doing is, when a user uploads an email, they have the email, essentially you're pinging that company's mail server, and it's going to tell us, oh, it responded back that the email exists and is valid. It's okay to send to. There's going to be times where it pings back and says this is not a valid mailbox. And so obviously you don't want to send to those. But the big thing is there's about like 20 to 30% of your email list will typically contain these emails called catch-all emails or accept-all emails. These tend to be more mid-market, larger companies because what that actually means is, Mike Roth at Enrichley.com, let's say I was working at a bigger company. I could have left the company at some point, or there could be a typo that a customer is reaching out to us. And that company has decided for their entire domain that they're going to accept all incoming emails, regardless of if it's a valid email address or not. And they do that for purposes, like I said, to not have data loss. If someone leaves the company, they still are receiving the emails. If a customer has a typo, they're still receiving the emails. So that's kind of why companies turn it on. They tend to be larger companies, but still typically 20, 30% of your email list will contain these catch-all emails. And with traditional email verification tools, there's no way for you to actually validate if those are real emails or not. And so with Enrichley, that's kind of been our claim to fame. We're in Clay and Apollo and all these guys because we've been able to do that very well. And the interesting thing is, kind of hear a lot of chatter. It's sort of a black box in that space. Traditional email verification is very standard. Everyone knows what that does. But the catch-all piece, that's where people that do it kind of have some magic going on behind the scenes that they don't really talk about. And so a lot of the players out there that don't have this kind of technology in the background, they like to say that it's unsafe and all of these things. But the funny thing is now that, we obviously have all the analytics on it, is about a quarter of all of our replies come from these catch-all validated emails. And so traditionally, if you're using another tool, that's a quarter of your replies you would not have even sent an email to because they're not going to come back as valid. And so again, about 25% of our replies come from these emails. One of the big benefits of it is most people are tossing these emails because, again, they're not going to come back valid from a normal tool. And so they're typically less emailed leads. And so their inbox is less cluttered. And so you're going to land in the inbox more, have more visibility there. So that's been the big thing. And the other interesting thing, too, is like our actual bounce percentage is much less on our catch-all validated just because of the tech that we have there. Versus just a traditional, valid email. So that's been kind of the cool things. It takes a little bit of education because I think it is definitely more of an advanced thing that maybe your traditional, every now and then you're sending emails or whatever might not know. But definitely any like lead generation agency who's in the weeds on it, they kind of know this concept and how it works. But it's been really interesting to kind of see all the data on it and how powerful it actually is, and not wasting the data that you found for your customers, because you have a finite list of your customers, and so tossing 20 to 30% of your list, that ends up being kind of an issue in the long run, and there's just a lot of ROI to be said for that. But hopefully I didn't get too into the weeds on it. It is a somewhat technical topic, but very powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. Before I comment on it, we got a question in the comments. Email verification and clean data is so important, especially when engaging AI to grow your business. What role does AI play in your email marketing strategies today? Mike, you want to take that?
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure who all uses Clay. If you're not familiar with them, I saw someone post something. What's everyone's kind of tech stack here in 2025? Clay should be in everyone's tech stack now. It's not just for sales. It handles operations and CRM hygiene, like all these different things that you'd want to use it for. But Clay specifically is how we're leveraging AI in our kind of email campaigns. Because it's basically just like a spreadsheet, but they have all these columns that can be integrated with different tools. For example, Enrichley's in there to validate emails, so that could be one column. There could be a column where you have people's domains or their websites. Maybe you want to use AI to scrape it and get specific data back about what they do, who their customers are, what case studies they have. And so really like creativity is your only limitation now, with tools making it so much easier to leverage AI. And so, yeah, for us, like within Clay, that's kind of a typical thing that we're doing is scraping their website to get kind of summaries about what they do. And then we're using AI that knows our business and what our value props are to kind of score that lead to see, is there a likelihood that this is a good fit for us? So we're doing kind of a lot of data scraping and then using a lot of AI to take all the data that we have on that lead. And then kind of bring that back to us and what our value prop and services provide, and see if there is a potential fit there where it makes sense to email them. And that's really the cool thing now with the AI piece, is that you can get way more advanced in your targeting, as well as crafting your messaging to make it just so much more relevant. And so that's kind of my 2 cents on it. And it's incredibly easy now. This used to be, you'd have to hire a data scientist and build all these automations. And now there's kind of tools out of the box where creativity is kind of your only limitation there. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're not the first person to bring up Clay on Wednesday. We hear about it all the time on here. We had Jesse Owlett on here a few weeks ago with someone from Clay. We were talking about that whole integration. I personally haven't used it yet. I feel so out of the loop. I just put that in the comments. But it's what, like $350 a month or something like that?
Yeah. And then it comes with, I think, X amount of credits and things of that nature. But it's just, you should look into it, because it's really a use case for just like all aspects of your business. Like we use it so much for operations. We use it for, cleaning up our CRM to enrich our CRM records with certain data that you can then use to retarget them later. And there's so many things that you can do with it. And it's also nice that you have AI very easily baked in, just with a column that you can do kind of whatever you want with it. So there is, it is like a spreadsheet type tool, and they made it as simple as possible to use it. But still, like with any tool, it takes a little time to get ramped up. But highly recommend anyone that has not played around with it or hasn't heard of it. I would absolutely check it out. To me, that's probably the number one tool every business should have in their tech stack. So.
Have you used Clay, Amber?
I haven't. Today's the first day I'm hearing about it, so I'm writing it down to check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, check it out. And by the way, we did get so Austin, it looks like, who might have been our LinkedIn user unknown before, came back regarding that 11% on the direct mail conversation. And he says, regarding the 11% plus direct mail campaign conversions is for 60/40 B2B/C plus Gen Pop, age range 35 to 70. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Looks like we've got another question here. What role does agentic AI play in your email strategies and CRM management? Make.com, NAN, Cursor, etc. Mike, you want to take that one?
Yeah. And I haven't got big into creating specific like agents for my business. I know a lot of people are doing that now, and it's actually a lot easier to do so, where people kind of create specific agents that are specialized in a very specific skill set that you're looking for. And you can kind of like chain these agents together to do a bunch of like automations for you, essentially. So I haven't like dove fully into that. But my version of agentic AI is really just with Clay. For example, like the CRM management question there is, sometimes we want to repurpose like old leads, for example. And so we'll have the date that we added them to a campaign, and then we have filters where we're like, okay, it's been 3-4 months since we emailed them. We want to repurpose those leads because it's maybe a high value target. So then we're going to revalidate the email. But let's say now it's not a valid email, then we're going to go ahead and remove that contact from our CRM. So it's constantly cleaning the CRM. The other nice thing too is when you start creating contacts maybe in your CRM from a tool like Clay, you can get so much more valuable data to now store in your CRM to use in the future. Because once you kind of scrape this data or get this data from wherever you're getting it, you don't need to necessarily re-scrape it again. And so it's reusable. And so it becomes very valuable if you maybe want to try a certain angle or offer based off this subset of data on on the lead. That didn't work. Now we have other data. We can try another angle. And so for me and our business internally is really just getting as much data about the lead as we can, using AI to kind of get all this data into specific segments of information that we find useful and that we can maybe use in different touch points. And then it can be reused. So that's really kind of how we're using it more for CRM hygiene pieces of it. But yeah, I'm not sure if Amber has anything on her end.
The main way that we use agentic AI is in our web programs. So we haven't really incorporated it much into our email campaign point in time. We are investing significantly in R&D and agentic AI, but not specifically for email. So I'd be curious to see some more of these platforms that this user mentioned as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, these are all great topics, and I think we could probably keep this episode going another full hour, but unfortunately, we only have 3 minutes, and we have to do the guru of the week. Ooh, and we also need to know how we can reach out to you after the show. But really quick, drum roll, please. I'm going to pull myself out of the screen. If you could please tell us, who is your guru of the week?
I can go first, I guess. But yeah, he's one of my good friends that I've kind of met through these different WhatsApp groups, and he does more of a lead gen agency. But Chris Fry, is his name there. He's kind of in a field of his own in terms of his automations that he's built for his agency is something just unbelievable to me. And I'm very, very well versed in automations and operations and things like that. And so I think he's getting a lot more into content, both on YouTube and Twitter, maybe LinkedIn as well. So I would definitely give him a follow, because the stuff that he's doing is like next level to me, and I'm pretty advanced. So.
I love that. Yeah, my guru of the week is my girl, Jennifer Loading. She is the producer and founder of Starter Girls podcast. Jennifer is a business coach, a business guru, and she is phenomenal at helping us see the forest for the trees and get out of our own way and scale our businesses. She also is a savvy marketer and podcast host. So if you haven't checked out Jen's podcast, please do so. She's absolutely inspirational. I love working with her.
Amazing. Thank you both for sharing 2 more contacts for everyone to go follow them. Layla's going to tag them in the comments so everyone can go find them on LinkedIn. And one more thing before we go. Could both of you please tell us specifically like what you do, who you serve, and how you serve them? And if they could be served by you, how do they reach out to you? We'll start with you, Amber.
All right. So at Far Beyond Marketing, you can reach us at farbeyondmarketing.com. We make marketing ridiculously easy for busy entrepreneurs. So we take the guesswork out and we get you a better return on investment. We love to work with startups all the way up with national brands. So if you need help setting a strategy, identifying what tactics or platforms are best for you, give us a shout out at farbeyondmarketing.com. I also have an international best-selling book, the Far Beyond Marketing Guidebook. It's meant to be a back pocket guidebook for anyone who needs the 411 on how to get the basics of marketing to work for you while you sleep. It's available on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Mike, how about you?
Yeah. So for me, really just anyone in the sales space. The 3 companies I'm running are kind of all in the sales automation, lead generation space, all kind of covering different facets, I guess, of the funnel. LeadScope, LinkedIn automation tool. If you're not using, I know it's a little bit of a taboo subject, but if you're not using LinkedIn for lead generation and you're in the B2B space, you're missing out. It outperforms cold email by huge margins. And so LeadScope's there for kind of that purpose. And then Enrichley is, again, more your kind of data hygiene, validating your emails, validating 20 to 30% more of your existing email list to retain that data. We're adding in some data pieces as well, where you can actually extract data from us as well on leads you're targeting, things of that nature. And then Uplifty, if you're a smart lead user, since that's the only thing we're integrated with right now. But that's really going to help with tracking deliverability, performance, and all the really technical things that have been traditionally a black box before in your email campaigns. But yeah, really anyone lead generation or kind of in the sales automation space would probably like some of the products that we have.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time to visit with the Wednesday viewers today. And this has been a really great episode. I really enjoyed all the topics. Thank you both for coming on. And thank you for all the audience members for listening. And we will be back again next week, but we're changing times. We're going back to a late night show here on Wednesdays. So we did the daytime thing for a little while, and we're going to go back to 8 p.m. Eastern time starting next week. Because what I've learned about going live on LinkedIn is you get a bigger audience in the evening. So that's why we're doing it. And I digress. But again, thank you both so much for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and close us out with our outro video. All right, everyone, have a good night.